On this episode of the Soul Twin Stars podcast.
Listen, every pussy needs her own bedroom.
Ain't that the truth? I am in awe. First of all, before we go into the story, I just want everyone to know I'm in awe of the story you're about to tell. That doesn't mean allow a criminal to come spend the night on your couch. It means maybe that criminal.
Hold on a second. Mark, can you please leave now?
I almost paused the recording.
Hi, I'm Lady Shadowe, a witch with much to share, stirring the cauldron with magical self-care.
Hi, I'm Peaceful Nik, a medium divine. I chat with the dead and interpret every sign.
We are Soul Twin Stars, best friends through it all.
From spells to healing, we're answering the call.
From moon cycles to menopause and making peace with the dead.
We aren't afraid to talk about what's rarely said.
So tune in each week to get raw, real, and wise.
Let's talk about a spiritual life with absolutely no disguise. Welcome to the Soul Twin Stars podcast, Uninhibited Spirituality. Peaceful Nik and Lady Shadowe here. We would like to first and foremost thank our sponsors for this episode. Thank you to Beans and Buttercream Bakery. Delicious homemade treats shipped anywhere. Call 417-973-2352. And Abernathy Photography, based in southwestern Kentucky, a professional and stellar company providing drone photography in both local and destination weddings. Visit abernathyphotography.com. Author Mary Ray's self-reflection workbook on conquering shame and guilt, Tell the Devil to Go to Hell, an interactive memoir, is available on Amazon.com. Craving delicious Italian cuisine? You can find it right here in Westchester County, New York at Fino Restaurant. That's Fino Restaurant at One Baltic Place in Croton-on-Hudson, New York. All of our sponsors are linked up on our Soul Twin Stars podcast Facebook page, and we thank them for making this podcast possible. And now, back to our episode.
And welcome back to the Soul Twin Stars podcast with your hosts, me, Lady Shadowe, riding in on my Mercedes broom tonight. And I got Nik, the medium divine, my BFF. I've known her for 30 plus years. She's amazing. She's glowing. She's awesome. I can see her, but you guys can't. However, Nik, tell us about what's happening on November 21st.
So, big announcement on Friday, November 21st. We are moving from audio-only podcasting into video podcasting, and we are so excited for you all to see us and hear us. And, I like to get my whiteboard out and explain things, so be prepared for lots of learning and lots of fun with beautiful, wonderful, ravishing Lady Shadowe and Peaceful Nik, the medium divine. I'm excited. Speaking of divine, I have some divine moments I would like to talk about.
Please give it to us. We're all waiting with bated breath.
So I have a granddaughter, my little Rosie, and she's 6 months old, and I got to spend several days with her and see her grow and develop and laugh and snuggle. And it was so divine and delicious. The more she grows and changes, the more bonded I get to her. And I am just absolutely thrilled to have spent so much time with her. So exciting to see the perfect, beautiful, innocent person grow and develop and get her own personality. It was so wonderful to see her little giggles, and she sings a little bit and makes cooing noises. It was wonderful and so divine for a granny to see that with her first little grandbaby. And my next divine moment is I have another grandbaby on the way from my other son and his wife, also due in the spring, and I'm very excited. Our family's growing. I can't wait for the upcoming holidays when we're all going to be here together. And one more.
You can have 500 more. We want to hear them all.
And I have made my complete conversion into the spiritual realm by adopting a black cat.
Yes, I love it. That's right. Oh my gosh. There's a way to share that picture on our Facebook page. That would be so great. Can you do that?
I will do that. I will take a good picture of Miss Musha. Actually, my very, very first cat in the 1970s was a solid black cat. She had a little white mark on her belly, and her name was Mandy, named after the Barry Manilow song, of course. And
And your niece.
well, actually, my niece was named after the Barry Manilow song. She came later. She came way
Isn't that
later.
ironic? Isn't
Yeah.
that ironic?
And and this cat is Musha, and we adopted her from our son with the baby because she's elderly. She's 17 years old and she needs special care. And when you have a little baby around the house, it kind of complicates things. So we lovingly brought her to our home. She was an angel on the whole ride, and now she has a whole bedroom to herself with a queen size bed. And
That's amazing. That's a cat's dream.
she has, I always wanted a room just for my cat, and now I have one.
You know, it's funny because today Chris and I were saying that same thing. I have a corner of my living room that I cleaned out because I play drums, and we've been playing the drums and doing a lot of karaokeing lately because it's such a great outlet at the end of the workday. And so my drums are pulled out, and so the whole corner is now the cat's corner. And I was telling Chris today, hey, that cat over there is literally in her own room of glory. Like, look at all that space. She's got the big bed. She's got food, water. She's got video games. You name it, she's got it. Like, it's crazy.
Yes, that's right. Now, the bedroom will be used by our guests over the holidays, so don't think I actually bought a house with a giant bedroom for my cat.
Yes, you did.
The house came with the bedroom, and the cat.
Listen, every pussy needs her own bedroom.
Ain't that the truth?
With toys and all.
Toys and all. She has a whole palace in there, as all pussies need.
Oh my God, so much fun. Well, my divine moment were several moments, were 7 days worth of divine moments. This lady over here did a water fast for 7 days.
I
Now,
am in awe. First of all, before we go into the story, I just want everyone to know I'm in awe of the story you're about to tell because you were video diarying me every day, telling me your progress, and I cannot believe what you did, and you've lived to tell about it.
listen, our bodies are meant to fast. That's the thing. We have physiologically not changed since caveman days. We are mentally and physiologically built for this. So I have fasted. The most I had fasted was 49 hours, which is, 2 full days, my husband and I. And I had wanted to do a 7 day because by the time you get to day 7, you have reset your hormones, you have reset your gut biome, your mitochondria. Your cells have gone along like a pool vacuum and sucked up all the gross, nasty, dead cells, precancerous cells, viruses, bad DNA laying around, visceral fat. Oh my gosh, you name it. Your body knows exactly what to do when you put it in fasting mode because it just gives it a rest because digestion and brain power are the two most power hungry systems in our body, right? So when you give that a rest, what the body can do with healing is absolutely amazing. So I did use electrolyte powder. I used element powder, which is large doses of magnesium, potassium, sodium, and that keeps your balance going, keeps your heart steady. It keeps your brain steady. It keeps the body hydrated. So you sip on a pack or two of these a day. They're 1 carb per pack, which is not going to break your fast. There's no sugar in it. It's really nice concoction, very smooth and delicious. So it's kind of like taking in a more designer grade Gatorade because the flavors are really great. They have this chocolate one that's out of this world. Now, I'm not sponsored by Element. We should probably call them and get a sponsorship from them. But it's LMNT, and you can get a 6 to 8 packets for $10 to $12. It's kind of pricey, but it's the top of the line. And it's your food. It's your lifeline for any type of fast. And of course, I'm going to say as a disclaimer, check with your physician before you start any type of fasting, because if you're on any medications, if you are pre-diabetic, have high blood pressure, any other conditions. I'm not on any medications, so proud to say that. And I know because I've fasted in the past, and I also do intermittent fasting like you do. So you and I both do probably what 14 to 16 hours between meals. after we have our last one. So you're used to intermittent fasting. But I wanted to do this because I am in menopause and things have been sluggish since I entered full menopause. And I knew that I could reset my whole body, my whole metabolism, my hormone balance, all of it through a fast. And let me tell you, I got through it just fine. Food became an object after about, I don't know, day 2 or 3. And I wasn't hungry. I was never tempted to eat anything. If I got a little hunger pain in the early days, the first 3 days, I would just sip the water. And then the hunger pain quote changes to not a hunger pain, but just a reminder, like a signal in your body. It's not hunger. It's like, hey, I'm thirsty, or hey, I need that little boost. Can you take a sip now? And so you just listen to the body. You're super in tune. You feel so clear. Now, energy comes and goes. I'm not gonna lie about that. Sometimes you'll have a lot of energy, and other minutes you just need to lay down and just take it easy. I had to get through 2 vigorous rehearsals this week while I was on my fast in New York City and spend a good 4 hours in New York running around doing this, doing that, plus rehearsing. I somehow got through it. I just kept my element with me and drank constantly throughout the day. You can have black coffee, you can have tea without sweetener, you can have apple cider vinegar, you can have a little cinnamon, you can have a little lime, a little lemon. Those things do not break your fast. So you can like water your variety per se in different ways that can get you through different cravings, like if you're craving something citrusy. But Element is great too, because if you buy their variety pack, you can have all the different flavors they offer. Watermelon's my favorite. They've got a citrus one. They've got a lemon lime. They've got the chocolate, which is great. You can put hot water with the chocolate and it literally tastes like you're drinking a hot chocolate. So if you're going that many days, it's really nice to have that variety. Now, I was committed to that. My husband did 5 days. I don't think he could go. He didn't have the stamina to go the 7. But I did the full 7. I've never done that before in my whole life, and it was incredible. Mostly when I broke my fast Sunday evening, I had cucumbers, a couple pieces of cheese, and I think a little keto chip or something, just something salty to keep me going. And oh my God, as soon as I ate that first bite, you feel so guilty because you've gone this long and oh my gosh, what do I do next? Am I going to feel weird? Am I going to have to rush to the bathroom? Am I going to have the farts? Like, what's going to happen? And I took my first bite and my energy went out the door. I can't even describe to you the energy that I got from that little amount of food. And then I had another small meal when I broke the fast that same day of scrambled eggs. And I was full after 1.5 eggs. I was stuffed. And I'm keeping on clean keto now that I have fat adapted. I actually fat adapted all through September. So I started this fast through a fat adapted clean keto diet since September 1st. So it was very easy for me to go into a fast. Now, for anyone who's thinking about going into a fast, spiritually, mentally, physically, you want to make sure your blood sugar is regulated first. That means you, for at least 3 to 5 days, cut the carbs, cut all the crap, and just do a ketogenic or a paleo so that your blood sugar is completely normal and flatlined before you even go into this. Because if you try to do a fast after carbing it up, that's what my husband did. He thought, oh, I'm going to join you, but I'm going to carb up the night before. Well, the next day he was crashing hard. He was 26 hours and he was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm like, yes, you can. He's not pre-diabetic or anything, but this is very dangerous if you are pre-diabetic or you have blood sugar issues and you go into a fast. So be careful about that. But the energy that I have now, day 2 of broken fast, is absolutely insane. I feel like a whole new person. I didn't have any coffee this morning when I woke up. Usually I only have 1 cup a day around 3 o'clock in the afternoon because I wake up at noon. And I didn't have any coffee today and I was ready to go. I'm right now, I could go do a 5-mile jog and all I've had today were some eggs, cucumbers, and my little homemade keto onion rings. Like, it's insane the amount of energy that I have. And I feel my new metabolism literally burning inside of me. It's so wonderful. And my mood since breaking the fast has been completely elevated. It's like someone gave me an organic dose from the cosmos of anti-anxiety, anti-depression. Not that I have any of these, but I have literally no worries. I'm in this blissful kind of mindset. And I don't know how that happens. And that's what everyone reports when they do these long fastings. And it's extraordinary how my body feels right now. And I can see, you can see a difference. You guys can't see me, but Nik can see a difference, for instance, already just after 7 days. But all the water's gone, all the glycogen has been depleted. And I'll just go through really quick a snapshot of what happens to your body each day of a water fast, if you don't mind. Is that okay, Nik?
Of course, of course.
Yeah, because I think the listeners might be interested in knowing scientifically what happens on each
Yeah.
day. So day one for most people is a sugar crash if you're not already fat adapted, which means you're already on a low carb. You're not insulin resistant. You are operating in a healthy blood sugar range. Okay, so most of us can go into a fast pretty easily from that. But if you haven't, like you did what my husband did, and he loaded up on spaghetti and bread the night before, your body panics a little on day one. So it says, hey, where's the food? Your insulin levels start to drop, glycogen gets used up. And sometimes people get headaches, mood swings, cravings, and hunger pangs right out the gate. But what actually is happening is you're breaking an addiction to, a feeding schedule. And we can break that pretty quickly, as you'll hear. So day two, you get into ketosis, where your glycogen tanks are mostly empty and your body starts flipping the ketone switch, and then fat becomes fuel. Also, just as a side note, if you are a average weight person and you don't have a lot of extra body fat, be careful with fasting, because if your body doesn't have any extra, to munch on, then, and you're doing this for health reasons, you need to really just pay attention. Those of us who have a little extra, like myself, I've got plenty to feed myself. So what autophagy is going to kick in here shortly, which I'll explain what that is. But that's basically the body eating itself. It's going around like the pool filter, like I was saying earlier, cleaning up all the visceral fat and eating up all the dead, bad shit floating around in your blood. And that is one of the most important things that can happen. And of course, huge for people who want to lose some weight, because it gives you a great start. I'm going to say, since I started this I'm going to say, honestly, I probably dropped out 14 pounds, which is crazy. The average is 1.5 to 2 pounds a day per fasting. That includes water weight, but it does include half of that is fat. So, I mean, it's very drastic, but done right, it's very healthy. So continuing on day two, you go into ketosis, which you're burning, ketones and your fat for fuel instead of your muscles. So this does the exact opposite of what a GLP-1 does. Okay, so everyone, not to put down your Ozempic, but honestly, a fasting condition, if you're safe and able to do so, is much more effective in healing and revving up your metabolism than any GLP-1. This is nature's GLP-1 from the start, and there are no harmful side effects if you are healthy and deemed healthy enough to do a fast, whether it's 3 days or 7 days. And if you continue on a fasting schedule, 24 to 48 hours, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, almost revs that metabolism and gives you the same results as a GLP-1. So I'm just putting it out there in my circles who don't do GLP-1s. We're all having the same wonderful response just by intermittent and a few extended fasts a
But
month.
people want a quick fix. That's another story.
Yes.
And can I put a disclaimer before you go through the rest of that?
Mm-hmm.
Please, if you are someone who is prone to disordered eating, please be careful, because this can lead to really bad results really quickly, especially like you said earlier, if you're already very thin.
Yep.
You don't need to fast for 7 days. Probably not the best option if you're a very thin, low body fat person. But people who have plenty of extra cushion, that's a different story, right? We have fat to burn, but not everybody does.
That's right. That's right.
Just please be careful if you've already struggled with poor body image or body dysmorphia or disordered eating. This is not the choice for you. Always, as Lady Shadowe said, please consult a physician before doing anything drastic.
And there is a ton of information on the internet right now about the benefits of fasting and proven studies. Dr. Berg has a channel on YouTube. Go listen to him. He's an actual doctor. He will talk about the benefits of it and break it all down for you. He's a great resource. So if you're looking to get into it and understand exactly what it is, most people heard that I was fasting for 7 days and said, oh my God, are you trying to kill yourself? Like, you're starving yourself. It's not about starving. I was taking my 3 longevity vitamins a day still. So I was perfectly mineralized, perfectly vitaminized. I had everything that my body needed to do its job, and it did its job. And holy shit, like I can't tell you how amazing that I feel today. But again, I followed the protocol. I did everything right. I hydrated, I kept the electrolytes up, and I took vitamins. So super, super duper important. And yes, always consult whoever you feel is your medical authority before starting this. Thank you, Nik. So basically, day 3, your hunger hormone starts to calm down. You feel more in control. Hunger is just background noise at this point, not really at the forefront of your mind. Then the mental clarity kind of kicks in. And now food starts to look like an object more than a craving. It's really interesting how that happens at day 3. And your energy still dips and ebbs and flows, but your mind, you've got your mind super clear. Day 4, your cellular cleanup. That's where autophagy begins, where I was talking about how the body eats its own. So it's eating its fat, it's going around getting all the nasty garbage out of there. And then mental, spiritual breakthroughs kind of can happen here. Low-grade inflammation disappears, skin gets clearer. I've had some liver spots on my shoulders that are like lightening up significantly. They lightened up by about 50% just this week. That's crazy to me, right? So yeah, a lot of wonderful things going on in day 4. Day 5, your stem cells activate, pain dissolves. Chronic pain can literally vanish as soon as that inflammation bottoms out. And that's just giving that day 5, that's all, to do your body doing all that healing work 24/7. It's amazing.
People underestimate the amount of pain that inflammation causes and the amount of problems inflammation causes. And I should get paid by Rise Coffee, the mushroom coffee that you got me hooked on.
Mm-hmm.
Just got my second set of shipment today.
Good stuff, right?
The inflammation has reduced in my body so much just from that. And I do have a very moderate exercise regimen because of my Hashimoto's disease. And so, and I have much less of a desire for food just through the Rise Coffee. Now, of course, with the Hashimoto's, I'm not really losing any weight no matter what I do, but I'm less inflamed. So if you count that as weight, I guess it is. But my joints don't hurt as much, and it's just inflammation causes so many problems. So thanks for mentioning that in your fast.
Yeah, no, that's an inflammation is the one of the number one causes of disease in the body. So everything starts with inflammation, and then everything just tumbles from there and snowballs into worse and worse conditions.
Yeah.
And that's why vitamin D is so important. Larger amounts than they say you should be taking. But again, consult your physician. When I consult my homeopathic practitioner, I'm told how much vitamin D I need, and it's nowhere near what they tell you in the allopathic world. But you know what, allopathic, they don't know anything about nutrition either. So maybe do your own research on some of that, or go in to look into homeopathic practices, and you'll be able to research for yourself how much your body particularly needs. Especially for me, I live in the north where I don't get a lot of sun except for 3 months of the year. You can take a 30-minute walk and get all the sun you need down in the south where you are. So it also depends on where you live and how you live. So day 6, we've got superhuman vibes. You're burning clean fat. Your hormones are resetting. Your metabolism is reset. You're basically getting a new immune system at this point. Gut bacteria is resetting itself, cleaning itself up. Absolutely amazing. And then by day 7, you are pretty much almost a new body. And it's amazing that the body knows how to do this. And what's funny is it costs nothing to fast. And the thing is, it's a healing mechanism as well for disease when you want to turn something around, reverse something that's starting to happen. And the doctors are never going to say, oh, you could just cure yourself with a 5-day fast. You could really help this situation with a 3-day fast. No, they don't want to tell you that. They want to prescribe you drugs. So just saying, everybody's different. But if you're curious about it, look into it. Go to Dr. Berg's channel on YouTube and learn about the benefits of this. He has so much information to offer. But yeah, so that is my fasting story. That's my divine 7-day moment, getting things done, not having to worry about food for 7 days or cleaning dishes or grocery shopping. It was really good on the budget too, I'll tell you that. So that was a nice part of it. Yeah, so that's just my experience. And again, I want to stress, like Nicole has, that if you're thinking about it, educate yourself, talk to you, whoever is your medical guide, before you do anything like this. But I'm just sharing my story, my disclaimer. I lived through it, no problem. I feel great. My husband did good. My husband, however, didn't handle it as well as me. I think because women, we're the bomb. We're the queens. We know how to run shit. We know how to get it done, and we know how to push past. Men are a little bit of babies about shit sometimes. And he was really lagging ass on that last day and couldn't wait to break his fast with me. So he says to me, that was good. It was heaven and hell all at once.
Wow. And that is incredible. And speaking of hell, we're going to talk about hell.
We're going to choose the hell path tonight, girl.
We're going to talk all about what is hell real? And I just want to say I'm so proud of you for that fast, and that information will be so helpful to so many people. And so getting to the other part of the show, hell, is hell real? So every once in a while, I post videos about hell or heaven and hell. And as a medium, I get a lot of questions from people who say, my loved one passed away in a tragic way. My loved one passed away at their own hands. My loved one was tragically killed by someone. Are they in hell? And the answer is no. And I make videos about this, and I trigger a lot of very strict Christians, we'll say, people who are completely indoctrinated in the dogma of religious belief systems. And I said belief systems. Belief systems do not mean facts. So I get really passionate. You've heard me get passionate on this podcast about the things I believe in. And I can't prove that hell isn't real. I'll put that out there. But I can give you my experience and the thoughts of what I have learned through my mediumship. Now, I will say I grew up born and raised Catholic, worked at a Catholic school for 20 years, went to church, went to mass, took communion, got all of the sacraments, did all the things that you do as a Catholic. And always thought hell was a weird concept. And the nuns was, you're gonna go to hell if you masturbate. You're gonna turn blind if you touch yourself. Meanwhile, we won't talk about what all the priests were doing. That's another podcast altogether. Or the youth pastors at other churches. That's another story as well. If you want to talk about hell, they're putting those kids through hell. But I have done thousands and thousands of mediumship readings. I have had probably hundreds of souls, loved ones in spirit that have passed at their own hands, either purposefully or accidentally. And I get the same message from spirit over and over. If there is a God, if someone here believes in God or the collective consciousness, why would God punish someone who's already suffering? Because if you pass at your own hands purposefully, you're suffering tremendously to make that decision. And if it's accidental, most likely you were an addict of some sort, which also means you were suffering. So now, if it was somebody poisoned you, still, you're not in hell. There is no hell. Nobody goes to hell. There's no hell, period. And I will quote Dan McClellan, who is a religious scholar of the Bible, and I follow him religiously. And I watch his videos a lot because although he is a Mormon that's the religion he follows, he's a scholar. And I love hearing information that is scholarly. It's just, I'm a nerd that way, right? I love things like that. So I like to take real research and my spiritual beliefs and kind of churn them up in my head and see what makes sense to me. And I suggest using critical thinking to everyone. for many of the reasons I'm going to discuss here over the next little while. So Dan McClellan, and this is pretty much almost a direct quote from one of his videos. He says hell was primarily developed by authors who were trying to rationalize where God's judgment was, and by Christian leaders who were trying to synthesize an inconsistent notion of the afterlife that made it easier to leverage the threat of hell to control behavior. Bravo.
Amen.
And this is
Amen.
why I follow him. I watch his podcast, I watch his videos. He's got a great podcast, Data Over Dogma, if you're interested in biblical scholarship, scholar stuff, smart people, biblical stuff. People who study the Bible more than I ever did. And so I put a video up today on YouTube, and someone asked if their loved one in spirit went to hell. And I said, no. Everyone goes to the spirit world. Everyone is, greeted by loved ones in spirit or guides, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hell is not real, et cetera, et cetera. And boy, the trolls come out. They come out hot every time, and they give me Bible quotes and all kinds of stuff. And to that I say, people do not want to admit that their belief in hell may be wrong, because if they do, they must explore all of their belief systems and face the possibility that they have been misled. And what's worse than thinking the thing I believe in so deeply and have grasped onto so hard my whole life and have preached and preached and preached to other people, and I find out I'm wrong and these people were full of shit and they were deceiving me to control my life. And I will say, when I was a practicing Catholic, I never really adhered to most of the beliefs of the Catholic Church. I enjoyed and I would tell anybody that, because, me, Sag, Aries over here, fire, fire, fire. Sometimes I can't control myself, but none of it made sense to me. It never did. And I was thinking back, I saw a picture of like some Halloween advertisement of somebody dressed in like a witch's costume or something like that. And I'm thinking, you know what? And I saw something else with some traditional Christian, something else, like within an hour of each other. And I'm like, all my life, I felt more comfortable, like I belonged more to the picture of the person in the witchy costume than the traditional Christian picture. And it just all started making sense. Oh, I've had this in me all along. No wonder I was uncomfortable in church. No wonder I thought all those rules were weird. Now, I'm not a rule follower in general. So church rules and regulations really made me upset. But I have a million other things to talk about, and we're going to run out of time, I'm sure. But what do you say, Lady Shadowe, about hell and the concept of hell and what's your opinion?
As you know, I am producing a show that I just finished writing, a play called Afterlife. This is not new to most of our audience, and it's going up on Off-Broadway November 4th. And we basically cover a lot of this because none of the scenes of my play of the afterlife are a fiery brimstone hell and a punishing God that comes down and spanks you 16 times. It's just not a thing. There are a few scenes where there is atonement that needs to be done, reflection, and then you can't move on until some forgiveness has taken place, both within oneself and those that they have hurt. And there's a couple of really powerful scenes that depict that. Now, I believe, like you, an institution-based, fear-based, self-punishing system, the idea of hell is separate from that, because I think we already carry enough guilt and shame on the daily as it is because of our programming, right?
Right.
So not only do you have to live in a hell while you're here by reiterating this programming, this toxic loop of I'm not good enough, I didn't do it right, I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. And then you go and pop over to the other side, and most of us do minimal damage. We're talking we don't kill anyone, we don't abuse people, we've never stolen large amounts of money purposefully. Most of us overall live pretty decent lives. Not perfectly, but decent, right? So the idea that a decent, normal person who's never committed a crime or, like I said, hurt somebody to the point where it was violently horrible, I feel like some people still set themselves up for a really frightening experience in their judgment, but that's all in our own minds. I think that we create, just like here on earth, we create our circumstances physically and then emotionally and spiritually around those physical choices, right? Because we live in a physical world first. So most people are going to see the physical and okay, if I want to go to Walmart tonight, I got to get in my car and drive there. So first the decision is a physical one. And then the repercussions of that is that once I get there, okay, I'm going to have to deal with crowds. I'm going to have to deal with screaming kids. I'm going to have to deal with not finding my items. I'm going to have to deal with, wandering around the aisles around a bunch of people. And it's a whole crazy mess. And when I get out of there, I'm scatterbrained, right? Like everybody knows a trip to Walmart can be hell, literally. So it's the way we shape our current reality and perception. And I think that we take that with us into the afterlife, and we can quietly sit in the afterlife and reflect on our mindset and our previous life. And I think we're conscious of what our life just was. So we can dig through that, watch a life review. I think there are several things we can choose to do once we've passed. And I don't think that there's necessarily somebody standing over us telling us what to do. Maybe, maybe not. Again, if you want that, if you want someone to come in and say, let me walk you through this afterlife situation. Let me take you along. If you're Mormon, you're going to believe that all your family members are standing there on pedestals and you're in the 7th level of heaven. If you're Catholic, you're going to sit in purgatory and be judged, right? If you are
A book. My mom used to tell me there was a book I had to take a test and God would be standing
oh
there.
my
And it
God.
scared me to death. And I'm like, what if I don't know the answers? Because I was nerdy in school and I
Of
thought I've
course.
got to pass the test. Obviously,
Right.
if I don't get an A, I'm not going to heaven.
Oh my gosh. See that is some crazy stuff right there.
Well,
And
she was
again,
born in
it's
1945, so you can
of
imagine.
course. Yes, I could I could very well imagine that. But yeah. And so I believe it's all frequency. I believe it's all free will, just like it is here. And once we're over there, our afterlife will be whatever we choose it to be. We can plan for our passing and we know when it's going to happen or when we're close. I feel like we can kind of shape what we'd like to see on the other side. I remember my grandmother, she died in 2018. I try to forget that date because it was so traumatic for me. But I loved my grandmother so much. But I remember the months leading up to her death. She never believed in ghosts or anything paranormal. She just loved life, saw it for what it is. And then when you go on to the next world, it's heavenly and God's there and you're wrapped in his love, right? So, or her. But the last couple of months before we knew she was getting close, she died at 97. She had her full faculties when she died. She had told my mother and, other family members, including me, that she was starting to see dead relatives in her room hanging out, talking to
Mhm.
her as if she were already there.
Yep.
And she was saying, oh, I had this really interesting dream last night that my sister Louise came to me, was talking to me and telling me there's a party here waiting for me. And then she woke up and she's like, oh, I'm still in the party. But there was a party waiting for her too. And I'm
Yep.
like, wow, my grandmother is telling me this stuff completely lucid. Then I know she's connecting with something over there. And she was sure about it. She talked about it matter of factly, like it was just fact, and she wasn't scared or anything. Let's talk about the hell that we would consider somebody who needed some penance and atonement, where they would go.
Okay, so in my experience through my work in mediumship, as you've all heard me mention, this was very hard, and I've talked about this many times because I am the victim of abuse, terrible abuse for many years of my life, and the person who did it is still alive. And it was very hard for me to accept that that main perpetrator would go to the spirit world, go to quote unquote heaven. But through my work, I have come to know that every person, even the worst person you can ever think of in history, and I'm sure they come to mind right away, goes to the spirit world. And I always use the term spirit world because it's not heaven or hell. It's a realm. It's a different frequency than what we're here on Earth in normal three-dimensional Earth. So you transition, your body dies, and your spirit is released from your body and goes to the spirit world. And as far as the test my mom used to talk about, it's more like if you were the worst person you can think of in history and you enter the spirit world, you're very likely greeted by your guides and maybe a council. And I know this sounds crazy to non-believers, and I had a hard time gripping all of this when I learned mediumship. But I've had such profound experiences with these things that I now am like, oh yeah, it's really real. It's really there. Oh my gosh. So the worst person you can ever think of is still greeted by either guides or some type of counsel. And they have to have a life review where they feel the depth of pain that they caused every person directly and the ripple effect of everything that those people caused other people and on and on. And so and my understanding, I'm kind of a smart aleck in my daily life and sarcastic, and my understanding is they're saying like what the hell happened down there? Why did you go so far off the rails? That wasn't your life plan. Like, how did you go so crazy and do so many horrible things? And so they kind of have to be reoriented and maybe go back to, some type of spirit school, something to that effect, where they have to learn, I need to have better control over my human when I am inside their body. Like, I can't be genociding people, right? Like that's not in the plan. Or abusing people, one person, 100 people, 1,000 people. So you still go to the spirit world, which is ambiguous, right? It's not good or bad. It is a world that all the good people and all the bad people, they're souls, not the people, the souls. Souls are always pure in my experience. I know Lady Shadowe and I have had many talks about this. In my experience, a soul that inhabits a human is always pure, regardless of the decisions the human has made in their life. The soul is pure. It's the free will of the human's mind that is what goes off the rails.
It's the animal brain or the
The
reptilian
animal
brain.
brain. And I say that all the time. We are animals. We evolved in the animal kingdom. Whether people want to believe that or not, that's irrelevant. It is a scientific fact that we are animals. We have an amygdala, the bottom, the primitive part of our brain at the base of our brain. And that's the one that makes all the bad choices. And sometimes something feels physically good that isn't morally good, right? So our animal brain sometimes is more developed than our prefrontal cortex, we'll say. So I just want to go through some points. So of course there are many different versions of what people think is good and bad and heaven and hell out there in the world. And I want to talk specifically about the fact that the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, does not have a hell. It's not there. Read it. Now, there are terms like Sheol, Hades, and Gehenna in biblical languages, Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek, that are usually by biblical scholars, people who study the Bible, not people who preach about the Bible to control you, people who study the language, the most original oldest text and the context and the historicity of what was happening when that book was written and by who, if they can figure that part out. So those terms, Sheol, Hades, and Gehenna, were usually metaphorical or cultural, speaking of an underworld, not necessarily something literal. I know that there was a place in near Jerusalem that was where they burned the bodies, and that was referred to in the Bible. I'm not sure which of these terms it was, but oh, Gehenna maybe. And that was a literal place on earth where they threw the burning bodies of the criminals. So people turned that into hell as where you go to burn for eternity. That's not a place where your spirit or soul goes. That is not it. The New Testament does not present a consistent or uniform doctrine of eternal torment. Different authors employ different metaphors and judgments. Destruction, wrath, fire. It's not there. There's no there, as they say. It's all used by religious leaders to control the masses. And I get so many people in my comments on my social media, that's not what the Bible said. And I said, okay. I always say, go back to the original text. Can you quote me the original text, where it was written? What's the term that was used in Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek? They never answer because they don't know. They're just listening to what's being told to them and being indoctrinated because they can't think for themselves. It's
And just a quick PS in there. If you're going to quote the Bible exactly as it says, every word,
which cannot
never,
be done.
which cannot be
Cannot
done,
be done.
but if even if you remove all the metaphors and just word for word, then these people, it should be against their religion to be even trolling you in the first place,
Right,
because you are not to be judging anyone.
right.
Right. So if you're going to call out word for word in one way, then you better be ready to be behaving like the Bible says, word for word, which means they shouldn't be on giving you a hard time about shit.
Well, cruelty is the point of these new modern American Christians. Cruelty, judgment, negativity, everything I'm going to just say evangelicals and Christian nationalists in the United States, this new uprising, or I guess it's been going on for a while, but it's worse now than ever. It's to be cruel and judgmental, which is everything contrary to what Jesus said. I'm going to recommend a book. Please read the book Resurrecting Jesus. It is a beautiful book by Adi Ashanti, and it's about the spiritual meaning of what Jesus was saying. It's not about being cruel or judgmental or taking food away from poor people or putting immigrants in jail. It's about accepting and loving everyone and bringing closer to you the people who need love the most, which are the people who these new Christians in the United States are pushing away and punishing and judging the most because they're all afraid that they're secretly gay. That's
Among other things.
among other things. But that's what I'm saying. They hate gay people because they're afraid, oh, I might have a feeling of gayness, right? Everybody has feelings of gayness to some degree, 1% or 99%. There's some range in there. I'm afraid of an immigrant because I don't speak their language. Well, that learn about their culture. Learn about them. They're people just like you. They love their family. They want their kids to be taken care of. They want to have a house and health care. I'm afraid of whatever. I hate this. Anything you hate it because you don't understand it, or you're secretly afraid you are that. You talk about going to hell, that's the road to hell in your mind, the metaphorical hell. So,
Agreed.
yeah, so there's a lot of now, so let's talk about psychological, spiritual, and symbolic perspectives. Hell is not a physical place, it's a place in your mind, right? It's a state of alienation, fear, regret, guilt, unresolved trauma, inner separation from love. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. Inner separation from love. And that's what I was just talking about. All of the people who are saying, I hate gay people and I hate immigrants and I hate poor people, they are so separated from love. And I've said this countless times. Deepak Chopra says, Hate is a cry for love. They need love. Now, do you want
Yep.
to love them? That's another story for another podcast. The hell imagery might internalize our deepest fears, the shadow of the unconscious, the horror we avoid embracing. The subconscious mind can generate torment, guilt, shame, fear, condemnation, dread, replaying regrets, putting yourself in a personal hell, and identifying with the misery that you're in to such a degree that you shame spiral over and over and over. Eckhart Tolle talks about identification with things, and this is one of those things. You identify with your misery to a degree that that's your whole personality. We shouldn't be miserable. There are ways to overcome that. The subconscious mind can generate all kinds of guilt, torment, and shame over and over and over. There are spiritual traditions that see suffering and torment not as external punishment, but as self-inflicted. When we refuse to love, when we refuse to see light and truth and connection, we live in darkness. And that's kind of where I am. We torment ourselves. Most of what happens in our mind is not real. You know, my husband has, I've mentioned this before, probably here on the podcast. He's been a coach for decades, and he's coached every sport you can imagine, except for hockey. But and he always says it's between your ears.
Yep. Yep.
And I didn't understand that for a long time. He's like, it's between your ears. It's all between your ears. 90% of playing any sport is between your ears.
Yep.
And that's the truth about life. 90% of our problems happen between our ears.
Right.
In our mind, people. That's what I'm saying. It's in your
And
mind.
if that happens, and if you are able to create everything with your mind, if this isn't a hologram or a simulation or something else, you're still creating most of your choices with your mind. Absolutely. So why would it be any different on the other side? And if you do picture yourself marching into a fiery hell, and that is the afterlife that you're expecting and you want and you think you deserve, you might just walk into that until you want to shut that off. Just like walking into a movie theater and saying, okay, what movie do I want to see on this big screen today? Put on The Breakfast Club. No, put on Pinhead. So if you're going to walk out of this life and into another ethereal place, I think it is definitely all your own projection.
Yeah, I agree. So, just the last few final thoughts. Many of our religious upbringing instills this fear of hell. Like I said earlier, it's just a mechanism of control, period. Don't have to fall into that. You don't have to be indoctrinated or stay indoctrinated into any religious organization that makes you feel like what you're doing every day is wrong. It's not.
Agreed.
That's if God is there, or the collective consciousness, or whatever you believe in, it should always be a source of love and not fear. Anything that has a source of fear is not safe for you. Get as far away from it as possible. If your church takes your auto debit from your bank account every Friday when you get paid, maybe you shouldn't be going to that church. I just don't
100%.
believe in that. Tithing does not have to be in the form of money. Service can also be a tithe. And
I just found out that one of my good friends is, I'm not going to name the church or the religion because I don't want trolls, but he has to pay if he wants to participate in any way with this institution. He has to pay, I think it's like $4,000 a year. Yeah.
get as far away from that fucking cult as you possibly
Is that crazy or
play
what?
this for him.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I'm on it.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we have different kinds of spiritual traditions. If you are following any spiritual tradition of any kind, make sure it comes from a place of love and not guilt, love and not fear, peace and not hate, acceptance and inclusion of everyone. Everyone deserves love. That doesn't mean allow a criminal to come spend the night on your couch. It means maybe that criminal
Oh,
just
hold on a
robbed a
second.
bank.
Mark, can you please leave now?
I almost paused the recording.
Sorry, I had a criminal on my couch, bitches. I've been living here for 2 weeks. Get the fuck out.
What it means is maybe that criminal robbed a bank because his wife had cancer and his insurance ran out, which we're going to see more and more happening coming up soon. So be prepared for that. The insurance, not maybe the bank robbing, I don't know. Use your discernment. Use your discernment. Love everyone, but don't let them cross your boundaries. You can love somebody who may have made some bad decisions, but not have dinner with them. You can still send love to everyone. Now,
Yes. And love also, people always forget that love doesn't always go to everybody else. It has to go to you first as
yes.
well. You can't love another if you can't love yourself in a healthy way. And so you have to protect yourself first before you can get into relationships where you can fully give. And then that's when we get into trouble.
And on that note, that's a wonderful ending statement for this podcast. I have about 25 more notes that I wrote, 25 more bullet points.
Well, we can do hell part 2 another time.
Hell
That's
part
easy.
2. Hell part 2. Thank you, everyone. I hope you learned something. Remember, whatever religious or spiritual institution you belong to should feel good. You should not feel uncomfortable. It should make you feel peace, not fear. Thank you, Lady Shadowe. And I loved the fasting information. That was wonderful. And congratulations to you. We wish everyone love and peace and healing every single day. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. We love you all.
Thank you so much for joining us this episode for the Soul Twin Stars podcast. Find us on our podcast Facebook page for Magical Mondays live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where we will help you magically slay your weekdays, and for awesome giveaways. For more information about what other spiritual things Nik and I do and offer, visit peacefulnikthemedium.com. That's Nik with just a K. Or to connect with me, Lady Shadowe, soulsandspirits.com is the place to go. If you want to be a guest on one of our shows, we would absolutely love that. Contact us at soultwinstars@gmail.com. See you next Friday. I'm on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Facebook, and on YouTube. Sending you all so many blessings. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, know that you are all cherished.